You ever have trouble with forecasting? Knowing how much to buy so you know how much you can sell, so you know how much you can make and how much you can pay your people and what your profit lines might be and if your business can even operate. Like it's a real problem. And we're going to talk about it next. Tyler Roberts of AGAS, next on Purpose Under Pressure. Well, welcome back. My name's Brian, and this is Purpose Under Pressure. It's a podcast about developing sales and leadership success on purpose and under pressure. Brought to you by the professional sales and leadership training team at Sandler by the Ruby Group. You'll find them in Akron and Columbus, Ohio, Jacksonville, Florida. They're in Capital Region, New York. They serve people across the country. They do their work on purpose so that you and your team can represent that way. That's why they're part of the show. It's why they've been part of this show for the 3+ years that we've been doing it. They believe in purpose, they know the pressure, and they're there to help you out. If your people, think of it this way. If you're a leader and your people are out there setting expectations, making deals, building relationships, sometimes ending relationships, you want it done on purpose. You want it done reflective of who you are, your leadership styles, your company, and most importantly, your people. And that's why we love Sandler by the Ruby Group. It's what they do. Connect with them online at therubygroup.sandler.com. The Ruby Group, practical sales and leadership coaching for high pressure moments. Now let's get cooking. Our guest today is Tyler Roberts. He's the commercial vice president at AGAS. It's a worldwide service provider of refrigerant gas collection, recycling, and reselling. That means something to Tyler. We're going to find out more about it. So many jobs that are existing in this world that we don't even know get done, but they're getting done and it's important. And we're going to talk about it next. Tyler, welcome to Purpose Under Pressure.
Thanks, Brian. Happy to be here.
I'm really glad you're here too. I'm interested. Let's talk a little bit about what you do there at AGAS and kind of what your company is all about and what's going well for you guys.
Wow. Great question. Things that are going well for us right now would be the recovery business. So what our business does is we go out into the world and we find gases which would otherwise escape to atmosphere. So this is gas that would pollute our atmosphere, that would increase the global warming potential in the atmosphere, that would deplete the ozone. And we go out, we teach people, look, we can actually recover those gases. We can put them back in a package at the end of their useful life. We can recycle those with our IP and our equipment, which we have all over the world. And then we can sell them back into industry. And once those gases, there's life cycles of these gases where over time we transition to new versions of the gases. So the oldest versions are no longer useful to people. Once those are no longer useful, we actually take those as well as waste and we destroy them in our plasma art destruction units. So we're trying to create what's called LRM, which is life cycle refrigerant management. And we're talking to countries about this at Montreal Protocol meetings and at country levels where they're creating these waste programs and recycling programs for refrigerants. And we're talking to large companies, manufacturers of these air conditionings, and saying, look, we want to be your partner. We want to provide you with a recycled pound or kilo of refrigerant as you need it in the world. And so we're really gaining a lot of traction, and we're excited about all that stuff.
So tell me how the sales process works. I'm interested in this as a former salesperson. Are you trying to develop an opportunity where someone doesn't even realize there's a need? Are you trying to develop a solution that they already know they have? How does that work in what you're trying to accomplish?
Great question. So it's different in every part of the world, to be honest. So there's countries like or areas like Europe, which were very forward thinking when it came to controlling these refrigerants at the end of their life.
They knew there was a problem. They knew they needed a solution.
That's right. Exactly. So they went out and they said, look, anybody who has these old refrigerants, we're going to tell you have to capture them. You got to put them back in a package. And if you don't, these are the technicians, we're going to fine you, or we're going to take away your license. You can't do business anymore. That's a very tight system. Now, that's great that they can do that there. But if you think about other places in the world, Africa, South America, parts of Asia, they can tell people that there's a regulation, but unless there's a benefit, if it's going to take them more time and not allow them to make any more money, they're going to unfortunately let this stuff vent to the atmosphere. So they're not going to be able to do the right thing because there's no economic incentive for them to do that.
Hmm.
So what we're doing in places like the latter that I mentioned is we're going in there and we're teaching people. We're saying, look, we can actually buy this old material from you. We know it's waste. This is crazy. Why would we do this? Well, because we're going to take it and we're going to create value out of that product. So it's about education, number one, of these technicians about these countries in these countries. And so as we educate them, which is a sales process, because you have to figure out the very specific way to speak to them that they're going to listen to and that's going to make something happen. And so we talk to country level folks who run these recycling programs. We talk to people in the industries who are actually on the ground, their boots on the ground, getting this material out. And they have the decision that they need to make. Is this something that we want to do or not? And so it's our job to go convince them, yes, this is something you need to do. Here's a way we can help you pay for it. Here's where the stuff will go at the end of its life. And then on the back side of that, we recycle that material and then we sell that material to OEMs, original air conditioning manufacturers. We sell that to countries who still need it, who know where they may need to disperse it. We sell that to people on the backside who need to service those systems long term. So they need to continue to use that gas into the future where they can't get virgin gases. They need the recycled gas. So there's, sorry, it's a long answer, but there's a soup to
Oh,
nuts here. You got to go convince people to capture this stuff. And then you got to convince people that this product that we're creating is just as good as virgin product. And it's actually required as you move into the future.
and so I'm going to guess on a few things here. I'm going to guess that the United States falls somewhere in between those two examples, where it's mandated at Great Britain's point of view, and it's kind of suggested at others, because we have different states with different laws. Is that an accurate description of how you work in the United States?
So there's something called the AIM Act that was put into place um, at the during the last Trump administration. That AIM Act is the phase downs of refrigerants, and it says, look, we're going to slowly phase down the amount of virgin refrigerants we can bring into this country.
Uh,
And that means there's a tightening of virgin supply of this material here in the US. Now, that happened, to your point, that happened after Europe put their phase downs in place, and it happened before some of the other countries that I mentioned put
mhm.
theirs in place. Okay, so we are in the middle, to your point.
Okay.
But then every state has the ability to do what they want as states' rights. So they could phase down at their own as at their own approach. So California, Washington State, New York State, they've taken different approaches than what the country says they need to do. They've taken a more progressive approach to this phase down.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some nuance as it relates to the U.S. market for sure.
And so the question I want to follow up with, and then I want to get into some of the really tough parts about the industry that you're in, and some
Mhm.
pressure. I'm interested from a salesperson point of view in some of the areas of the United States, let's say, where it's not mandated or however that works. How do you generate need if a business doesn't have to do it? I assume there's a cost to having you come in and collect the refrigerants.
Yep.
If is it you got to do the right thing? Is it an emotional thing? And if it is, does the manager, the owner say, that's a great idea, but let's worry about that next time or something
Yeah.
like that? How's that go?
So a lot of education I come back to.
Yeah.
You know, I was just at a conference 2 weeks ago in Las Vegas, American Heating and Refrigeration Conference. One of the statistics that came out of the conference was that roughly 2% of the refrigerant that comes out of service each year is recovered. 2%.
Wow.
So it's
2%.
incredibly low number. So very, very low recovery rates. And crazily enough, this is pretty average for the world. I mean, as we look at all recovery rates all around the world, 2% is actually pretty good. So
Wow.
it's an education problem. Number one, we need to tell people, look, we will absolutely compensate you for product that comes out of service. That's us as an industry. We want to pay you for the stuff that comes out of service. So let us help you with that. put it back in a package. Hey, do you need a cylinder to get this stuff back? We got cylinders. We're happy to provide those to you. It's about taking that little bit of extra time. And man, everybody's short on time. That's a problem in every industry you talk to. You probably talk to people all the time who
Yeah.
have no time. I mean, that's just what
I'm
it
a
is.
marketer, so I take their time. That's the way they look at me. I'm a
Right.
time taker.
It's exactly right. And so they go, hey, I don't have any time. Okay, let us help you solve that problem. Let's sit down together. Tell us how many machines you're recovering product from. Tell us what your network looks like. Do you need cylinders? Do you need valves? Do you need fittings? What do you need? Do you need people? What do you need? And we can create a solution for you so that we can make sure the gas comes back, is taken out of service, and it's taken out in an economically friendly way for your business. So that is a really tough conversation. It's one we have every single day. We have 450 plus employees in the U.S. 300 of those are focused on getting the gas, and a smaller percentage are focused on selling it, because to some degree we're in a commoditized market for refrigerants, and so where the price is for the demand to some degree. There's unique situations we deal with where by we can go maybe create a little more value for customers because of the situation we're in, where we reclaim the gas and resell it. If you're just producing virgin refrigerants, I told you about the phase downs. That industry is slowly going away, and so we have longevity in our business where we can come in and say, look, you need virgin, you need reclaim. We can actually provide you both, but we can provide you reclaim into the future, whereby the virgin refrigerant won't be here any longer. So that's our unique value proposition that we have for customers. And as we go out and sit down with them, people really enjoy that. But I think what we're challenged with every day is the industry just bought virgin gas for 40 years, and so this reclaim thing is a bit still new. We're the new kid on the block, even though we've been around for 30 years. Um, and so getting in the room with the right people, making sure we understand their needs, their concerns, we can create a program which makes value for both of us.
Yeah. So you're set up for the future, and the future is going to be kind to you because we're going to go more and more towards saving this planet, whether we
Yeah.
agree with it or we don't agree with it politically, whatever it is. We know we need to take care of our dirt
Yeah.
and our
Yeah.
air.
Yeah.
And we know we need to do the right thing. And I think that crosses the gambit no matter what. So you're set up for good. How do you feel about, do you run across politically when you're talking to a salesperson or a
Oh,
manager or owner, people that just, that's a bunch of crap and that kind of stuff? You hear different
yeah.
things. How do you deal with different people? That's part of what Sandler teaches us, right? Is different personalities and different ways to talk to others. How do you do that?
People ask me this question all the time, actually, because um, it is, when you start to talk about climate and what we're doing for a reason, it's polarizing to some degree.
It is.
Um, Now, I didn't get into this because I was like trying to save the planet. Honestly, from day one, I came to this by way of, I was an industrial gas guy, um, and I didn't want to be selling something that every other Joe Schmo could sell. This is a bit of a niche gas market, and I understood the value proposition associated with it, and so I take it kind of back to that. And when I go all around the world, a lot of people in these places don't have the same perspective on climate, and it's not as maybe polarizing because people don't really talk about it as much in those places.
Mhm.
The reason I can go to those places and have these conversations, they don't care as much about the purpose. They care more about the economic incentive I'm providing. And so you I take it back to, is this a good value proposition for you and your business? Let's put the climate conversation to the side. Are you going to make more money, some money, a value tomorrow by me being involved? Is the EPA telling you you have to show records of reclaiming or recovering this gas? And is that just going to save you in liability
Mm.
long term? As a business owner, you're always worried about that liability. So can I come in, give you a report that shows here's all the stuff from your company that you recovered last year, and that AGAS took ownership. I'm taking that liability off your plate. That's all mine now. And oh, by the way, I'll give you a couple bucks for every pound you give me. That, now, did I also do good in that by taking that away and making sure it
Right.
doesn't go to the atmosphere? Did I by convincing that guy? 100%. We did that too,
Absolutely.
but he didn't care about that, and that's okay. What I you got to have two things. The reason AGAS is valuable as a company is because we have those two things. We're doing something good for the climate, whether you believe it or not, and we're creating economic value. End of story. And so when good and great cross, which I think is creating value and doing something good for the climate, man, the value is just immense.
Yeah, that's just win-win. That helps you sleep well at night, helps you do good for other people, and like you say, you're selling it to others who are trying to do good as well, and finding the next stage in the life cycle. So I love to do in this show. I like to talk about pressure too. We've talked about the good things, and I'm interested. We've learned a lot about an industry that most people aren't aware of. Tell me a little bit about when things go poorly, when things are hard, some hurdles you've overcome in the time that you've been there.
Everyone in the organization needs to know how to sell. Sales is the strength of any company. Whether or not you're in marketing, operations, or even finance, everyone has a strong shared accountability towards driving top-line revenue. Whether or not you're client-facing or talking over the phone, you're able to build a stronger level of rapport with the clients. Everyone in the organization shares that responsibility to know how to sell.
Tell me a little bit about when things go poorly, when things are hard, some hurdles you've overcome in the time that you've been there.
Yeah, so great question again. I mean, man, this is a commoditized market, like I talked about. So
Mhm.
sometimes in these markets, you just have too much product. It's a simple, supply and demand problem. There's so much refrigerant sitting out there in the marketplace that the price goes straight to the floor. People import too much. They overshoot what they think the market demand is going to be for the hot season. So we have these, it's just like you would think. During the warmer months, sales spike. During the
Okay.
cooler months, they go down. Um, and so it's a very seasonal business. But if you overshoot your inventory, meaning importers, everybody else brings in a ton of product during the winter, you could have too much product for the summer based on how hot it is and demand and when people are doing replacements of systems and all these things. So it's a very volatile market. Um, that's a real struggle for us because look, we have 450 employees we need to pay every 2 weeks. We have infrastructure which we need to pay for, uh, all these things. And so we need to make sure we properly budget for that. And if we don't, gosh, we're in a really tough situation, and the whole industry is. So what we try to do to shelter that burden a little bit and to make sure that we're prepared is we try as much as possible to be really connected with our customers. So we are talking to them all the time about, hey, what do you think you're going to need for the season? We call the season the warm period. What are you going to need for the season? What can we do now to prepare for that? How do we um, how do we ensure that you have enough reclaim as well as virgin material, kind of the good mix between the two, to be able to survive not only this year but next year. So these we try to make it more of a longer term conversation. We try not to make it a day to day, you know, price is up today, we're going to sell all we can. Price is down tomorrow, we're going to hold. We try
Yeah.
not to do that. We try to really be connected so that we know, okay, for this year, we're going to have this level of offtake. We're going to need to deliver a bunch of it the front half of the year because that's when they're going to need it going into the season, and then that'll trickle down. And we try to base, our purchases on 6 months prior to that, so that we're building inventory, getting ready for the season, and then selling through, coming back down, and then spiking again. So it's a very dynamic business that we work in.
Is your concern? I know you worry about both of these spectrums, but are you more concerned about your customer and making sure you're buying on time, you're buying at the right rate, you're doing those things with them, or selling vice versa? You have enough. Is it
Mhm.
more about the customer satisfaction, or is it more about operating a gas and making sure
Mhm.
things are timely so that you can? I mean, I know they both matter, but if
Yeah,
you had to choose one to really focus on, which would it
yeah,
be? If there's something wrong with a gas, you can't take care of your customers,
right.
right? So how does
Yeah.
that balance out?
You know what's nice about AGAS? It's not a huge ship. Okay, so we've globally we have about 900 people in the company. In the U.S., it's our largest entity. Um, if you want to make a change based on a customer need, which we do often, we can almost like reverse engineer the supply chain. We can look at what the customer demand is, and we can go back to the buyers and we can say, okay, here's how much we need during this period, because we're not buying from one big company who's supplying all of our product, right? We're buying from Joe's HVAC and Tim's HVAC and Bill's
Right.
HVAC, so we can kind of we can adjust our demand. Like we can adjust our purchases pretty quickly. Um, I think that's a key benefit to this company because in a supply agreement with Virgin HVAC supplier number one, they're going to make you take a certain amount of product every year. You're going to enter a long-term supply agreement. They're going to tell you take this, take that. You're going to then need to go back to your customers and tell them this is the price, this is what you need to take. But for us, we can be very agile as it relates to supply chain, and so we try to thread the needle as much as you can and say, okay, we're going to make some commitments over on this side, supply, and then commitments over on that side, sale, to be able to have a base of business,
Yeah.
that underlies everything, and then everything on top of that's incremental. But it's a it's a unique game we're playing out here, and
How
we're
fast can
trying
it
to.
switch? How fast does it turn around? Like, are you waking up one day going, "Holy crap, the bottom just fell out. We're in trouble." Like, is it that fast?
Um, Candidly, it is pretty quick.
Wow.
It can be in a couple days. You see price of a product go down by 10-15%. I relate it a lot to the steel industry, to be honest with you. Those guys,
Yeah.
those guys are selling a commodity essentially.
Yep.
But the nice thing about their commodity is there's an index, right? You've got something to track against. There's no index in the refrigerant market. We're just out here word of mouth trying to make things happen. And so it's a very tight knit industry. There's not a ton of players out here, and we're trying to just make the best decisions for all our companies every day.
One thing I like to ask in this show, and this show is sponsored by Sandler by the Ruby Group. It's not a commercial for them, but a lot of people I talk to are familiar with Sandler by the Ruby Group, and I know you have used them in the past, and I'm interested from the commodity point of view. You sell commodities, many other businesses do. There's only so much you can do. The price is what the price is. How have you been able to use some of the Sandler by the Ruby Group teachings or foundational instruction to help you as a commodity
Yeah.
set yourself apart from a competitor or set the expectation in a proper way?
Yeah. Again, thanks for the question. I mean, we are in a commoditized market, and if you let yourself, you'll just sell on price
That's
all
it.
day. I mean,
It's a
because
race to the bottom, right? No one wins that one. Yep.
exactly. For us, we have to go back to what I was saying earlier about creating economic value on both sides. We have to talk to a customer about, okay, there's going to be these phase downs that happen for virgin refrigerants. That's going to put a constraint on the supply. In 2029, there'll be another 30% phase down of these refrigerants, meaning there was a baseline taken, and based on that baseline, they're phasing down from the baseline the amount of refrigerants that can be brought in each year. And this is the US EPA is doing this. And so you have now in 2029 another 30%. There's also states that are saying, hey, by a certain date in, let's say, 2030, you have to go to 100% reclaimed refrigerant in that time, meaning anything that's service gas or new gas going into service has to be reclaimed. This is a strategic benefit to A-gas. And so what we need to do in our conversations when we talk about these long-term customers, strategic customers, is we need to say, look, you can use virgin today and you can commoditize us on virgin. That we understand that because there's a ton of it out there still.
Mm-hmm.
But as you look into the future, you're going to need a partner that is able to recover gases from your large network of installed systems, or recover gases from systems which have the same gas which you're using, so the same brand, same kind of gas, um, and then bank it for you, then hold it for you, and then sell it back to you as these phase downs are hurting your supply chain and they're reducing the amount you can buy in the market. We know the price will go up on virgin. That's just going to happen. It's going to be simple supply and demand. But the problem is going to be these reclaimed and recovered refrigerants. There's not going to be enough supply. I already said earlier, there's only 2% of the supply which is recovered. 2% is not going to be enough for everybody.
Right.
And so there's going to be this strong price, this much escalated price on recovered refrigerants as you go towards the end of the decade and into the next. We need to use that today as a reclaimer, as someone who's going out and spending the extra money, doing the extra work to create this product, and tie it with our virgin gases, and then make those strategic relationships and say, look, we're happy to be your supplier in 2030, and we're all going to still be here. By the way, we're all going to still want to be able to sell product and buy product.
Yeah.
And we'll commit. We'll get you a certain amount. What's your number? How much do you need per year? We'll do that. But what that's going to do is you're going to reserve some of our supply with that commitment. And that's going to come at a price. And it's going to be a premium to the market today. That's okay. It's just what it is. But what it will do is it will ensure you can continue to build the products you're building with the gases that we have. If you don't have a strategic partner and at 2030, you're not going to have enough gas to go around. There's not going to be gas out there. And so let us help you. Let us help you get there together. And so, look, everybody's always going to at least talk about price. It's not going to make the conversation go away.
Of course.
But it is a reasonable value proposition, which buyers are getting their heads around and saying, you know what, it's only 4 years away now. We got to figure out how this is going to work.
Yeah. See, I love this about sales. A lot of people, when I've said this before, when people say, what do you do for a living? I'm a salesman. They go, geez, you're kicking tires and wearing plaid jackets and talking people into things.
Right.
It's not the case. We're solving problems for people. If we're doing it right, we're finding out what they need, how we can help, and let's make a deal together to help each other grow. And if we're doing it wrong, then we're pushing and selling price and things of that sort. And I think, one of the things I've learned from Sandler by the Ruby Group is, I've learned how to sell, but I've also learned who it really makes a difference that I'm selling well for. It's not about me. It's about the customer. I just asked you, what does Sandler help you do? And you just basically answered, we're going to become strategic partners with our clients. They're going to do better in the future when things get rough because we have this perspective on things. Did I paraphrase that properly?
Absolutely. Yeah, spot on.
Yeah. So as you move forward and as we kind of wrap this up, I'm interested, all salespeople need lead generation, prospects, and things of that sort. Who talks to you? Who do you want to talk to? If someone's listening to this podcast, is anybody that's listening to this podcast, perhaps like the guy that owns the local HVAC company? Do you talk that low, or are you talking to bigger organizations?
Oh yeah, we're at the ground level. I mean,
really?
we have a business called Rapid Recovery. It's a company we acquired several years back. These guys are amazing. They are essentially certified technicians themselves. They go out. We have a team of they're called RTLs, regional team leads, who manage territories, who each go talk to, John's HVAC. They talk to regional distributors. They talk to regional professionals who are managing multiple HVAC companies. Mechanical contractors are a big one. We So that's on the recovery side of our business where we get our product. We on the reclaim side, we can't sell a pound of gas we don't recover. So it drives our ability to replicate our model and move it throughout the country. So that's the group of folks that we'd love to hear from, and that we're talking to on a regular basis. And then on the sell gas side, as we call it, we talk to everybody from your largest superstores that are all over the country that end in Mart, all the way to the home goods companies, and just think about anybody who has a big retail space.
Yeah.
A lot of these cold chain companies, those are the types of companies which need a ton of refrigeration
Yeah.
services. They typically have their own teams, or they have a strategic partnership with a large mechanical contractor. We love to talk to them because what we can do is, again, we can create a strategic plan as they're moving from one gas to another, changing out systems, servicing it. We can take the old stuff, we can provide them the new stuff. So again, trying to figure out a total solution for them, or or anything in between. If it's just one part of that, we're happy to be a part of it. So yeah, there's a ton of folks out there that give you a couple examples of that we like to talk to.
And how would they find you? How would they reach out to you, Tyler?
So look, agas.com is a great starting place.
Sure.
We have an inquiry place right there. Find me on LinkedIn, Tyler Roberts at Agas.
Tremendous. Thank you for sharing that. I love doing this show. I've said it many times on this show. I meet so many new people that I wouldn't have met before and talk about things that I never gave any thought to. You walk into a building that's comfortable and you feel good, and you walk out of that building, and yet there's a whole world of stuff that's going on that is plus or minus or changing in the environment or for their own profit line, bottom lines, things of that sort. And you're making that work. And I just love the fact that you're out there doing it on purpose and trying to do the best thing for the company and for your company as well. So thank you very much for all you're doing, and thank you for being our guest on the show.
Well, Brian, I really appreciate the time. I mean, it's been a pleasure. And if anybody out there is listening to this at this point, look, check out Brian's other interviews he's done. He's got a ton of them on there, wide ranging subjects. So just really appreciate you doing the work.
Thank you very much. I don't always get a plug. That feels my back feels good. Thanks for the pat.
Good, absolutely, anytime.
I appreciate that. That is Tyler Roberts. He's the vice president, commercial vice president with Agas. Thank you for joining us, Tyler, on Purpose Under Pressure. Folks, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We do this every week. Like Tyler said, we've got a lot of episodes in the can. And if you like this show, you like other shows, you want to come back for another, go ahead and subscribe. That way you won't miss one. Tell a friend too, so they can be on purpose as well. You'll find all past episodes of Purpose Under Pressure at brianmediastrategies.com/podcast and wherever you stream your favorite shows. It's brought to you by the Ruby Group, practical sales and leadership coaching for high pressure moments. Until next time, no matter how high the pressure, stay on purpose.